Hello everyone and welcome to Bedtime Stories with Madison Families. My name is Mrs. Dalessio and I am the technology facilitator at Madison School. So if you have a technology problem, I'm the one that you reach out to. Tonight, I'm going to be reading the story, Let the Children March. And this is by Monica Clark Robinson and illustrated by Frank Morrison. And a fun fact about the illustrator Frank Morrison is that he actually grew up here in New Jersey. So this is a great story, and the reason why I chose this is because last Friday, January 15th, was Dr. King's birthday. And we had off from school today to observe that. So I thought this would be a great story to read to you tonight. And this story takes place in 1963 in Birmingham, Alabama, where 1,000 children marched for their freedom, for their right to be allowed to go where white people could go, to go to the same schools, the same restaurants, the same bathrooms, to use the same water fountains and playgrounds. So I want you to think about that today, and I want you to think about how brave these children were as I read this story to you. So I thought it would be a good story since this week is his birthday. Let's get started. Let the children march. (1963), Birmingham, Alabama. I couldn't play on the same playground as the white kids. I couldn't go to their schools. I couldn't drink from their water fountains. There were so many things I couldn't do. One warm spring night, my family went to church. We weren't there to have regular services. We were there to hear Dr. King speak. We were there to plan. He wanted to raise an army of peaceful protesters to fight for freedom. His brown eyes flashing fire and love, Dr. King told us the time had come to march. If I march, Mama said, I'll lose my job, sure enough. I can't march, Daddy said. I got a family to feed. The weight of the world rested on our parents' shoulders. But this burden, this time, did not have to be theirs to bear. So as they were deciding to march, all the parents were very worried because if they marched, they might lose their jobs and they have families to take care of. So it was very scary. I don't have a boss to fear, my brother said, or a job to lose. We can march this time. We'll be Dr. King's army, I said. It'll be fine, Daddy, I promised. Don't worry, Mama. So the children are volunteering to march, and I just think they must have been so brave to do that. Dr. King didn't like children being put in harm's way. He was a daddy too, after all. But he said that though we were young, we were not too young to want our freedom. Let the children march. They will lead the way. On May 2nd, a sunny Thursday, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, cousins and friends, we all met at the church, dressed in our best, feet ready, in a silence so loud that all could hear was my racing heart. We began to walk. Hand in hand, we marched, so frightened, yet certain of what was right for freedom. The path may be long and troubled, but I'm gonna walk on. So even though they were scared, they did it. They knew they had to. They were really brave. Would I be heard? Would I be heard? Would it all be worth it in the end? I wanted to run from the angry faces in the crowd, run from danger, run from fear. Boys and girls, brothers and sisters, cousins and friends, on and on we marched, we marched, we marched, singing the songs of freedom. 1,000 strong we came. 1,000 children marched. Hate dogged my heels all that day. its yellowed canine teeth sharp. But courage walked by my side and kept me going. Disperse, or you'll be jailed, the police shouted the first day. Disperse, or you'll get wet, the police shouted the second day. Disperse, or we'll release the dogs, the police shouted the third day. But we did not disperse. We kept on marching. We wouldn't stop until things started to change. So boys and girls, even though things were very, very scary when they marched, the police told them to stop. The police sprayed water on them. They put dogs on them. The kids kept marching. Hundreds of us went to jail on the first day, and even more the second. My turn wasn't until the third day. After I was sprayed by water stronger than anything I had ever felt, rough hands pushed me forward and I fell to my knees in the police wagon. I was going to jail. Dr. King reassured our parents. Don't worry about your children, he said. They're going to be all right. Don't hold them back if they want to go to jail, for they are doing a job not only for themselves, but for all of America and for all of mankind. So he was going to go to jail, and that must have been very scary in itself. That night, crowded into a cell too small for even half of the kids, we sang, "We shall overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, and freedom is coming." Our parents couldn't be there with us, but we sang, wrapped in the proud and loving arms of our ancestors. I was still in jail, but we heard the next day and the next, more kids marched. The water hoses they used to sting us would not stop our fierce tide. The path may be long and troubled, but I'm gonna walk on. So even though children were going to jail, children kept on marching and kept being courageous and brave. Turn the other cheek, we had been taught. Show love where there is hate. The world watched as hate bruised us, but for 7 days we walked, only in love. The jail swelled to bursting, and even President Kennedy took notice. Daddy said the president received letters and calls about us from all over the world. Our march would become a memory, a small part of a larger story, but we had been heard, and the seeds of revolution were sown. 2 days and nights I stayed in the jail. Some stayed even longer. When I left, I was tired and sore, and my dress was ripped, but my smile was as wide as the Mississippi River. I had made a difference. "I'm so proud of you, baby girl," Mama said. "Your march was what made them see." With nothing more than our feet, voices, and courage, we had done what others could not. Change was right around the corner. We felt it like a cool breeze in an Alabama August. On May 10th, the great news rang out. Dr. King had reached an agreement with the white leaders of the city. Desegregation would begin. So at that point, everyone was segregated. The blacks and the whites were separate. So desegregation means that they would begin to allow blacks to go where the whites were allowed to go. 1 month later, I was playing on a playground I'd never been allowed to play on before. 2 months later, my family ate at a diner we'd never been allowed to eat at before. Our march made a difference. We children led the way, singing the songs of freedom. 1,000 strong we came. The end. So because we had off today, I encourage you one day or all throughout the week to do something nice for someone. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you have a great night. Good night, everyone.